The views and opinions expressed in this presentation are those of the producer and those appearing in this show and do not necessarily represent the views of DerryCAM, the town of Derry, or any of its staff or affiliates.
Hi, I'm Anthony Henry. Welcome to episode 10 of America's Ass. We finally reached summer. It's our first time filming outside of the school year. Really excited to not have to worry about math or whatever class I was worrying about. I don't remember anything I learned. So, all right. So, yeah, like I said, this is summer, episode 10. This is actually the season 1 finale. I decided each season's going to be 10 episodes because my show. Yeah, season finale. So our guest today is a state rep from Salem. Please welcome Valerie McDonnell. Thank you for being here. Introduce yourself to the audience.
Thank you for having me, and to make it on season 1. Seems like I just made it, season 1 finale. That's pretty exciting. Congratulations on a first season.
Thank you.
As Anthony said, my name is Valerie McDonnell. I am a New Hampshire state representative. I represent my hometown of Salem, so just next door, so close friends with Derry, great town relationships. I'm on the Education Committee in the State House, so I am responsible for a lot of bills relating to education. A notable one this year got a lot of media attention was the Parent Bill of Rights. That actually was 2 separate bills, House Bill 10 and then Senate Bill 272. I'm sure we can get more into that a little bit later. But I am the youngest elected New Hampshire state representative in history, and by some accounts, one of the youngest state legislators in the entire country. So really excited for everyone who helped me in that achievement and the opportunities that's opened since then, such as being here today. So thanks for having me, Anthony.
Thank you for being here. All right, so first topic's kind of a really interesting topic. 5 years ago today, June 21st, 2018, Greta Thunberg, in her limited wisdom, predicted that all of humanity would begin to end on this day, June 21st, 2023, the day we are filming. So, yeah, just climate activist crap. There's nothing wrong with being pro-environment. Like, everyone should be pro-environment. But the point, like, what some people are doing in this country is just crazy. Cutting out all meat, all electric in 5 years or whatever they're doing in California. Like, crazy. So.
Yeah, I think it's interesting that some of these people use scare tactics, such as they're going to do it themselves. A lot of them don't do the things themselves that they encourage everyone else to do. But those like Greta Thunberg, who seem to do exactly what she wants everyone to do, it's her way, but it shouldn't be forced on everyone else for these scare tactics. It almost reminds me, dating back to Aristotle in terms of rhetoric, we have ethos, logos, pathos, all of in speech writing, effective ways to get your point across and to persuade your audience. And they say pathos is maybe the strongest in some accounts to persuade people. That's an emotional appeal. So a scare tactic saying people, the world's gonna end in 5 years. You better listen to me, without any logical claims to back up that. And clearly, as the two of us are sitting here, the world has not ended. So.
Well, we still got a couple hours left, so maybe she can prove us wrong, but.
Hope not.
Yeah, and another thing I noticed, there's like cattle farms in America, and all the cattle is showing up slaughtered. And some people, I don't consider myself a conspiracy theorist, but I do find this interesting. Like, is there something behind this? Is there a reason all these cattle are just showing up mysteriously dead, and then all those climate freaks go and laugh about it because less red meat?
It's interesting. A lot of the farmland out in the Midwest, a lot of it's owned by China these days. And when voting for a president or a congressional candidate, I'm looking for someone who wants to hold China accountable, whether that be
Absolutely.
for the coronavirus or in any country. Why are we letting our land be purchased by what is seen to be an enemy state? That just doesn't seem like in the best national interest for America.
Yeah, I know Florida just banned China from buying farmland in China. I think they should expand that to all land, and I think that should go nationwide. Just me, but. Bill Gates, I find this interesting, is the largest owner of farmland in America. And that should scare people, because that man has an insane amount of power. Like, for example, Bill Gates met with Xi Jinping, the president of China. And Xi Jinping did not want to meet with American diplomats and dignitaries for a long time, but he met with Bill Gates right away. So that shows that all these I'd call them oligarchs, really. They're meeting with China. They're siding with China in many things. And other countries that claim to be our friends are also siding with China. I remember Emmanuel Macron, the president of France, said to America, "Don't make us choose between you and China," which implies that given that choice, they'd choose China because China makes a lot of crap. I think we need to start making more crap in America. I know, if, like, for example, the Democrat Senator John Fetterman said that, and then he went out and wore a Carhartt sweatshirt that was made in, like, Mexico. But I really think that we need to do more American-made, stop going to China for everything, and stop subscribing to all these idiots, liberals mostly. There's some conservative idiots too, but mostly liberals that are pro-China, pro-environment BS, and pro-idiocy, really.
Yeah, and it's about time that we stop consider China a developing country, because they're far past developed. When more of our goods and services are manufactured in China and our businesses and our jobs are moving to foreign countries, it's not a developing country. We should stop giving them the easy way out in trade negotiations. And again, the federal government, they should make a federal law. It shouldn't be just in Florida where we see no farmland purchases. That should be extended to everyone. It seems really to be a common sense idea, but I guess common sense isn't that common.
Or it might not even be common sense. It might be what the big boy wants. But
The big guy.
yeah, the big guy. We'll get into the big guy in a minute. But do you think that Kevin McCarthy is brave enough to try to put that law, like try to push that law?
I have my doubts about Kevin McCarthy. Well, let's just say the disaster for him to be elected Speaker of the House, that's unprecedented. What has it been? Not since the 1800s that it took more times. Was that 15 votes?
I stopped counting. I remember me and, like, he's actually one of my editors, Brady Miller. Everyone knows Brady Miller. We sat in my room and watched all the counts and just made fun of it for hours. It was hilarious. But yeah, I have my doubts about Kevin McCarthy too. I think he has surprised a lot of people on how good he is on some things. He's not. I don't think he's bad. Anyone that thinks he's bad is kind of they're too negative, because he has done a lot of good. But I don't think he's the best that we can get either. I think the speaker should have been Jim Jordan, because he's the right balance between, I guess, establishment and what do you call, like, Matt Gaetz, like.
More extreme side.
Yeah, I guess you could say that, but yeah, Kevin McCarthy. Some people are thinking Trump should choose him as a running mate, if Trump's the nominee.
I think that's an interesting idea strategically to appeal to moderates, but I think that's not really the base Trump's after. He has they say it's 30% of the Republican Party already voting for him. It seems he wants to appeal to those people, and all the indictments and things coming out about Trump, it seems to make his following more favorable towards him. At least the polls suggest every time something negative comes out or they try to use a negative story against him, it works in his favor. So I don't know if he's trying to appeal to the moderates. So I wouldn't see McCarthy as that pick, but I'm not sure. Who knows?
Trump did do it before with Mike Pence.
Oh, look at Mike Pence now, you know.
Yeah. Anyway, segueing from the big guy that we mentioned earlier, a.k.a. Joe Biden. Last episode, we talked about that Ukrainian oligarch, whatever his name was, that had Hunter Biden, son of Joe Biden, on his board, on the board of directors. So Hunter Biden just pled guilty to 2 federal tax violation counts and 1 violation of gun laws. And this was in a deal to, like, I guess, lessen what his charges were, because there was a lot of things against Hunter Biden. Way too many to list. We'd be here a while. But yeah, it just goes to show that we have a 2-tiered justice system. Really stinks. Yeah, if this was Donald Trump Jr. or Eric Trump or Ivanka Trump, we'd be hearing this everywhere. But they're not really talking about this. Like, no one's talking about the corruption in the Biden family, the Biden crime family. And it angers me.
No, the media cover-ups on some of these stories is just ridiculous.
Yeah.
I think well, this was criminal activity, admitted to it. But then if you look at, like you mentioned, Trump's children, I remember Ivanka Trump, they were upset with her, and all of a sudden her dresses were ripped from Nordstrom. She's a fashion designer. And it's like just a punishment, losing financial deals, endorsements from brands, and all these things. And what punishment has Hunter faced when his laptop, it's ridiculous we're talking about a laptop in the 21st century, but all of a sudden it's just everywhere and there's no punishment. I'm curious the conversation between Joe and Hunter. Was there ever like, son, what did you do? You know, you got us in trouble. But
well, Joe Biden, Hunter Biden's reward is that he just goes back to wherever he lives and he does more cocaine and he sleeps with more prostitutes, because that's what he does. And you see there's photos of him doing it that you can find on a quick Google search. Crack Biden.
I'd rather not on that one, but
Hunter Biden is, all the Bidens, it's just so corrupt. And it's crazy that we're not doing more against them. It really stinks. But anyway, so a couple episodes back, I believe it was episode 5 with guest Joe Sweeney, we talked about the Durham report coming out. The long-awaited report where Special Counsel John Durham was investigating the, I guess, ties, and he didn't find much, between Trump and Russia. And John Durham did testify before Congress recently, and he was grilled by the Democrats. They were very hesitant about him. I did think that the Republicans went a little too easy on him. That's just me. I'm a Republican, but I like to be fair. And I'm going to read a quote here. Steve Cohen, Democrat, very liberal from Tennessee, Memphis area, I think. He said to John Durham, the longer you hold on to Mr. Barr was the Attorney General for Trump, and the report he gave to you, then your reputation will be damaged. So there's that narrative that, you know, it was a false report. And Republicans did say that about Mueller, too, when he did that, but still, he found nothing. And John Durham had a very good response, that he was comfortable with his reputation because he was content with where he is with his Lord, Jesus Christ, and his family.
that's, I guess, what matters at the end of the day. They are threatening him, threatening his reputation. I don't see how that's ever right to play dirty politics. And that's the type of stuff you hear about under the table, rumors of. But then when they say the quiet part out loud, it's just surprising. And to a lot of people, it's what they expected in the dirty world of politics kind of coming true. And it's eye-opening for a lot of people and not in a good way.
Yeah, politics is one of the bloodiest sports there is. I don't play sports. I'm not very athletic. And I say to everyone, politics is my sport.
They say it's the state sport of New Hampshire.
Yeah,
so.
it's draining. It's physically draining. I think it's more physically draining than football or stuff like that. And yeah, well, you ran.
Yeah, so I think I met you about 2 years ago when I was starting my campaign, and I believe at the Labor Day picnic.
Yeah, last year.
Yeah, so I announced my campaign 2 years ago. At that time, I was 17, started getting involved in politics at 16. Was elected for office at 18, which set new records in New Hampshire, and just last month I turned 19. So it's been a crazy past couple of years, this past year especially, but I'm really learning so much from everyone, people who do have more experience, as well as people who don't, the everyday type citizen of my town of Salem, and just across the beautiful state of New Hampshire. Really excited for that opportunity, and let's see what comes next.
Yeah, so we're at the end of all my topics, so now for the rest of the show, talk about whatever you want.
Yeah.
What are you passionate about at the State House? Big bills you're working on, things like that.
Well, I mentioned at the beginning of the show, the Parent Bill of Rights has gotten quite a bit of media attention from both sides. And that was in front of my committee education, specifically Senate Bill 272. And this was the first time I had seen this in my first term. This bill, after a bunch of amendments were added to the bill, passed that completely undermined the entire bill and made it kind of null and void. The bill itself not only is voted ITL and expedient to legislate, they go a step beyond that and make it indefinitely postponed. And like I said, my first time hearing this is a little confusing, but when I learned that that means this topic can't even be brought up for the remainder of the biennium, so not until another election in 2024 can we even talk about parental rights in like official legal jargon in the State House, I don't see how that does not limit free speech. To indefinitely postpone a topic that the majority of New Hampshire voters have said they agree with, and by far the majority of New Hampshire parents. And it's simple, really, to learn their rights in a school setting, such as if a parent were to ask a question about their child, their student, just that the school doesn't lie to them. Especially when the New Hampshire School Boards Association has a policy saying that they're encouraging students, if they are uncomfortable, a lot of topics regarding gender identity, such like that the teachers are to lie directly to the parents when asked about it. I'm thankful that policy doesn't exist in my school district, Salem High School, proud graduate 2022, but it's just horrible that we can't put a common sense law into place to just prevent lying, really.
Yeah, I've mentioned that bill a couple times in episodes. It's so widely, like, distorted that the public doesn't even know what it is anymore. They don't know what it actually was supposed to do, and it was a good bill, and it did good things. Well, it would have if they passed it. And it's a numbers game, really, too, because you don't really have the majority, per se. But that's something you got to work on next year.
Yeah, it's not a working majority when our attendance were down 10, 20, 30 Republicans, even though we're supposed to have a majority. It really doesn't feel that way.
Yeah, and you got to make sure everyone shows up.
Yeah. Well, we'll see what happens in 2024 and 2026.
Yeah. A lot of people are trying to get me to run in 2026. We'll see what happens with that. But yeah, what else? What else is going on?
Well, we did happen to have some bipartisan compromises. We came together. I believe it was yesterday, the Governor Sununu signed a bipartisan budget, and the vote on that was also historic. It passed the House in a voice vote, which was insane. So I was really excited to be a part of that. There's, again, my education committee, really proud of the work we've done for education. We reshaped the adequacy formula, which is how we decide what school districts get funding from the state and how much funding, right? It's per pupil, different factors, very complicated, and Governor Sununu is behind us in trying to simplify the formula. Because if you just ask me, how much is Pinkerton Academy getting from the state of New Hampshire, it shouldn't be a 10-minute lecture, it should be a straight answer.
Yeah.
Shouldn't need to be genius to figure out a formula. So a lot of common sense reforms to this. And a lot of schools are getting more funding. I believe most are. I know in Salem School District gets $2 million additional dollars prior to what they were getting for the next biennium. So really excited about that. I know Derry sees improvements as well. So really happy, and that's one of the main reasons why I voted for this bipartisan budget.
Yeah, and speaking of Derry schools, and Derry citizens are going to know exactly what I'm talking about, last night we had a very interesting school board meeting. Many people that live in Derry probably watched it. The school board decided to close one of our elementary schools, and their reasoning was, we've been going down in population, whose fault's that, and the buildings are deteriorating, all of them, slowly but surely. And that's their fault, because every school board for the past few decades has been letting it happen. And if you really think about it, it's the voters' fault too, because we keep putting them back in. And a lot of people, well, not a lot of people, everyone's mad about it. No one wants a school to close. And last night's school board meeting, go on YouTube and watch it. I quoted the Bible in it. I was the only one to do that. But yeah, it was really crazy. Everyone's upset with the school board, so wow. I don't know if you watched it.
That's interesting. I didn't hear about that, but...
Yeah, one of the elementaries, the Derry Village, which is at the Rotary.
Oh, okay.
That's going to be closing at the end of the next school year.
That's interesting. I think about probably 7, 8 years ago at this point, Salem used to have 6 elementary schools. We closed one, now have 5. And they reformed the school, turned it into a preschool. So now we have full-day preschool. And so we have 1 preschool, 5 elementary schools, somehow condensed into 1 middle school. Imagine how they do that, and then Salem High School, obviously.
Yeah, and another thing they want to do is, and this really doesn't make sense, they want to make the elementary schools K through 4. And then they're going to break the middle schools up into 2. They're going to make West Runningbrook 5 and 6, and then Hood Middle School 7 and 8, which I really don't get the logic behind that. Maybe there's something behind it. I'm just not getting it, but they voted for that, I believe, 6-1. So the school board isn't really listening to the people. They haven't been for a long time, dating all the way back to the COVID crap. I was very active in that. And the fact that I am the new Pinkerton liaison to the school board, and the fact that I get to sit with them and disagree with them is going to be really exciting for me. I can't wait. So that'll be starting, well, I'll officially be a part of that at the next meeting, actually, on July 20-something, but I don't think I'll be speaking till September, because I won't have anything to update them on. But
Well, congratulations.
thank you.
Sounds exciting. I know at the State House I hear from parents and sometimes even students. Unfortunately, I think there's a lot of young people that should be involved that aren't. But I do hear from a lot of parents who, throughout the COVID pandemic, tried to testify at school board meetings who were shut out. In one case, I think the doors were locked and all the parents were banging on the outside. Just to hear these stories, it's just crazy. And then they come to the state level asking what we can do. But really, these things start local. And it's, I guess, run for office is the advice I would give you. Run for your local school board, town councils, things like that. And if you want to join me in the State House, I'll be happy to have you.
Local politics is the most important politics.
Yes.
The one that impacts you the most. And the fact that all our local politicians seem like, at least on the school board level, in my opinion, seem to not listen and not care, that's just disturbing. I think that the school closure should have went to a town vote. The school board would have still gotten their vote. They just would have, let everyone else chime in. And I think they would have lost that vote. But hey, it's what's the word when it's like not like dictatorship but multiple people? I forget. There's a word for it. It's like not an oligarch, something like that. But they're like dictators. Sucks. But anyway, we're reaching the end of the show. So do you want to give a closing statement?
Yeah, well, again, just thank you for having me, and I will keep you updated on what's going on in the State House. We're taking a break for the summer, but everyone still keeps working for the summer, just no sessions for July and August.
Yeah.
So we'll see what happens, and keep you updated.
Yeah, I will be at the State House on June 29th. It will be their last day, and I thought it was till January. Is it nothing till January, or is it nothing for 2 months?
Yeah, we don't have to go to the State House for July and August, and then September we start filing bills for next year.
Okay. So, yeah, I'll be there. If there's any state reps watching, make sure you say hi to me. Yeah, that just about does it. Season 1 is wrapped. Thank you all for watching. Keep watching. When we're going to take a break for a few weeks so I can enjoy summer more. But yeah, this show's awesome. I also want to thank the people behind the camera. There's too many to name, but they know who they are. You all rock. You're awesome. Keep the show going. I appreciate all of you. So thank you for watching America's Ass. I'll see you in a few weeks. I'm Anthony Henry. Thank you for watching.